I want to talk about those five pillars. Which out of the five pillars that she's bullish on would you say is kind of your favorite to sort of analyze and really understand?
Artificial intelligence, no brainer.
Why?
Yep. So artificial intelligence is like this triple whammy, right? First of all, it bleeds into the other pillars. So, for example, artificial intelligence enables robotics. It enables optimization of energy storage. It enables fintech and crypto. It enables genomics. So, like, artificial intelligence touches the other four in a way that's not true if we were to say like genomics, right?
Right.
Genomics and crypto don't exactly touch, for example.
Good point.
So
Yeah.
that's one. The second thing is artificial intelligence is in itself a science. So like, the fundamentals are like coding and software and like using data to make decisions, right? Which is kind of what my background is in. So more of that like automated decision support layer, ingest a lot of data, make meaningful insights about it and share those insights. That's primarily the role of artificial intelligence. And then third, I think artificial intelligence is just the thing that we feel the most of right now. When Netflix puts that right thing in front of you in practice, that's artificial intelligence, right? That's not genomics. That's not what it like. We feel artificial intelligence right now so acutely and so extremely, we can't get away from it, right? When Google Chrome knows about you enough to offer you tailored search results, when Netflix and Spotify learn about you enough to recommend songs that you generally enjoy, when finance firms use artificial intelligence to tell you what your true, risk rate should be, like all these things, that's not any of these other pillars. So I think those three things make me very attracted to it.
Given your technical background, do you see the consumer facing use cases of artificial intelligence? Let's say YouTube as the biggest example. 2 billion people per month, they find the right video within 10 seconds, you're going to click and they keep your attention. And, attention is the most valuable thing in today's economy. Data is the new oil. Attention is the new oil as well. Do you think the use case of AI from a consumer facing perspective is the least significant use of AI that will happen over the next decade?
I guess it depends how you define significance. I think that's like everyone's entry point into AI. I don't think it will be the most like enterprise valuable version of it, right? Like TikTok isn't valuable because so TikTok's value comes from everybody likes that form factor and ingests all those things. Sorry, ingests all that media. But where TikTok is really valuable is, they have that set of artificial intelligence tools that they can overlay on like 1,000 other different use cases all the way up through the enterprise, right? So like Netflix's algorithm is valuable for content matching and getting people to subscribe and whatever, but you can imagine many different versions of that algorithm that do very different things.
Right.
Like what if there was a Netflix for research that just connected academics and said, oh, I'm looking for this paper. Like, I really like this paper. Here are the 10 nearest peer papers like it that either reinforce this point or combat it, or like are somehow generating similar insights or directly opposite insights. A Netflix for academics would be incredibly valuable and useful and would probably displace a lot of academic journals. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, no, it's interesting just hearing you talk about the massive use case potential for it. And I think ARC just came out and they said it's an 80 trillion something dollar industry.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
It's going to be insane. What is the one of the five pillars that you're least, I'd not say bullish about, but least just like it doesn't turn you on as much? Because for me,
that's interesting. Yeah.
For me,
it's the blockchain stuff.
Because I'm not against crypto. I just like, I think it's going to be big. I just don't think I've done enough research to fully understand why Coinbase is the winner out of all these. Right?
Yeah.
It gets me annoyed. And like Spotify also, I'm not that bullish on. So like, and we can talk about some of the stocks you don't like the most. But
sure,
yeah,
absolutely.
What is one of those five that you don't like?
So it's really interesting. I'd say the one that resonates the least with me is also probably either crypto or genomics. And that's not because they're not important or they're not going to be massively disruptive. I think, for example, crypto is in this state where it's still relatively immature. And there are a lot of these like, I don't want to disparage anyone, but maybe like phony value traps in crypto, right? So like NFTs that go nowhere, tokens and coins that go nowhere, that kind of like rode the bubble of 2018 through 2020, let's say the, crypto summer into the COVID bust and then the boom. So I think crypto and the blockchain have a lot of proving left to do and just maturing to make before we take them very seriously, before Bitcoin becomes this institutional asset, for example. And then on the genomic side, I think the fact that I'm just like a young, healthy person, I'm not in a rush to get that cure for cancer or that eternal, that drink for eternal life or whatever, the fountain of youth. But that's more of just a function of my station in life, right? In 20 years, I'm going to be much more bullish on crypto. I'm going to be much more interested in genomics, right? Just as a function of who I will be then, I think, robots excite me. Electric cars excite me today. Tesla excites me today. And AI obviously excites me today. So I just relate to them more today, I think.
Is there a world in which Cathie Wood is wrong and all of this goes to nothing and all of this is hoopla?
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Like, I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make in watching YouTube is that this person believes this thing is the absolute truth, no ifs, ands, or buts, right? It can't be just presenting and reporting information with a little bit of opinion. If you say this, this must be what you hold as your truth. It's like, I think Cathie and her team do incredible research. I think they're going to be very right. But there is a serious world where they're wrong. For example, if a private company comes and displaces, a lot of their public investments in a way that like they couldn't have invested in it. Like imagine, they had a big position in Google. I'm not saying that they do, but imagine this scenario. You're all in on Google. It's already $1 trillion company. Perfect. ByteDance comes and displaces them and just never goes public. It's just a privately held company. Google starts going down, ByteDance is going up, and there's nothing you can do about it in an ETF because you can't hold ByteDance.
Right.
So what's the narrative there? Do you drop Google? Do you like build a new venture fund, which is what they're doing? Like, how do you manage what is going on in the market and what you have access to versus what is actually going on in the real world and who's displacing who, right? What about all the private EV companies who can displace Tesla? Not maybe that they will, but like that may never go public, could be awesome. And now it's just like you throw your hands up and go, I can't invest in the winner, but I believe in this space. What do I do, right?
So you think there is a threat from private startups that are technologically savvy and focused that could displace a lot of the public companies that the ETF has to invest in?
And I mean, you're just describing the cycle of the market, right? Google at one time was a private startup that displaced Alta Vista, which was the search engine before Google, right? Like Facebook was this not publicly traded company that disrupted a company called MySpace, right? Like, there were all these, the companies we know and love today started as these like in literal garages, right? Mm-hmm. Trying to build one thing and then evolving, and they were uninvestable for decades, right? Like people would laugh at you for investing in Amazon as late as 2015, right? People would laugh at you as late as 2018 for investing in Tesla. Like it was a publicly traded company for like 7 years already, flat stock going nowhere. Elon Musk is duct taping batteries to cars, right? Like was sort of the message. And here we are. It's like one of the most valuable companies in the world. It's in every index. Elon Musk is arguably the world's richest man in only 3 years. This is a story that would have been laughable 3 years ago to the market, but it's absolutely true and what we all love today, right?
When people criticize Cathie for if Tesla wasn't in the fund, I think the stock price would be like $30 or something. Like I've heard of that. And in 2018, when she was going on CNBC and she said, hey, it's going to hit 4,000, everyone was laughing at her. It hit more than 4,000 and she turned out to be this saint. Like, do you think the criticism of the one bet on Tesla that turned out to be phenomenally correct is the only reason she actually has this attention on her? Or do you sort of side with, well, that one bet worked because of the methodologies of research that they innovated?
So it's a really interesting question. I like whenever I hear that, I always flip it on its head, right? Like Tesla was one of their best performing calls. They got it right, period. Right now, let's exclude Tesla. Which fund do you know which fund actually was the best performing fund in 2020? Like just off the top of your head, it was ARKG. ARKG didn't contain Tesla. Their best performing fund in 2020 had no Tesla in it. That's the genomics fund. Yeah. So it's like if you either have to acknowledge the research machine that both popped out Tesla as the best investment and independently ARKG, which was the best performing ETF in 2020, right? Or acknowledge that she is getting lucky over and over and over and over again because she called Tesla and separately the ARK Genomic fund returned like 300% that year. It was like plus 180%. You know what I mean?
Right.
So almost a 3x is what I mean to say.
Right.
You know,
What are some of the stocks in the innovation fund that you aren't the biggest fan of, if any, that you don't?
let's see what's in the top today.
Because I'll go first. I hate Spotify, not because of this whole Joe Rogan nonsense. I hate Spotify because I think the music business sucks. I think, yes, they might have pricing power, but they also have relationships with record labels that if you increase Spotify from 10 to 15, a certain percentage of that has to go to the record labels because it's still their content. And then so like the podcast bet, I don't see them. I mean, yes, they become the Netflix of podcasts, but I'm just like, I don't think that's necessarily creator friendly because then creators don't get access to the real estate of the home screen because you're shoving all this premium Gimlet Media Joe Rogan stuff down our throats. So I was never a fan of Spotify at all. Are there any stocks that sort of you resonate that you're just not into?
Yeah, you know what? I would say the number one stock that I think should not be in any of these funds is Robinhood. I think Robinhood is just like
Robinhood. All right.
Payment for order flow, right? Like you have all of these. So Robinhood does provide frictionless access to stocks and crypto, and it does all these like interesting things that get investors in. But man, like, just ethically, how are you supporting payment for order flow? They're a controversial company, now that everyone is doing commission-free trading. How do you justify still holding Robinhood in a world where their moat is no longer like really, commission-free trading because of payment for order flow? Okay, like anyone can do that now. Most businesses choose not to, right? Like, or some, I should say, choose not to. Why is Robinhood in here today? What's that?
Why do you think she's bullish on it?
Yeah, I think, what Robinhood is really building, at least according to ARK Invest, is this sort of, for lack of a better word, ecosystem where, you get really easy access to everything on one screen, right? Stocks and crypto, frictionless trading, they're very good at, attracting a segment of the market that was very not interested in investing stocks or crypto, the younger demographics, and getting them into the market in a successful way, right? Here are all the tools you need, including dangerous tools like margin, to trade, to access the market.
But Robinhood offered me 25 grand. And I'm like, I'm 23. I'm not taking 25 grand because there was this guy who unfortunately killed himself because he went 700K down because he was playing with options on Robinhood. And I'm just like, the money, you keep your 25 grand, Robinhood. I don't want to touch it.
Right. And there, I feel that with Spotify too, right? There's a great podcast called the All In Pod, right? And they're talking about Spotify right now and Joe Rogan. And the idea is, is it the responsibility of the platform to just provide access, keep its mouth shut, and let people use the tools? Or should they have some responsibility in the things that they provide and promote? Should there be an editing layer to these platforms? Should Spotify, for example, not allow certain creators? Should Robinhood, for example, not allow certain financial tools to certain people? Like, how do you justify denying a 23-year-old margin, and on what grounds, right? Like, nope, you're 23, you can't get margin, right? Like, is that fair? I'm not sure that it is, and I'm not sure where the line is. And I acknowledge it's a hard problem, right?